Welcome everybody to a new live session from a new NZ travel show from NZ Pocket Guide right here live from New Zealand. Thank you very much for not watching the Eurovision and choosing to watch us, but we're going to make it up to you by explaining you why we are the expert, answering all the questions about New Zealand in a song. Laura?
No. I was wondering where you were going with that when you talked about Eurovision Song Contest. Anyway, this is Robin and I'm Laura. We're the team. No. Stop, everyone's going to tune out, like, straight away. Okay, so this is Robin and I'm Laura and we're the team behind NZPocketGuide.com, which is New Zealand's largest travel guide because it literally has thousands and thousands of articles to help you plan the perfect trip to New Zealand.
Yeah.
Now that the borders are open and
That's right.
there has been a new announcement.
Hit them, Jay.
There has been a new announcement of the borders being fully reopened, so now is the time to get planning the perfect trip to New Zealand, which you can do for absolutely free on NZPocketGuide.com. But if you're not really into reading, well, this is what the NZ Travel Show is all about. You guys can come onto the live chat and ask your New Zealand travel questions directly to the experts. That way you can just get all your travel questions answered and not have to go on the website. But it always helps to go on the website a little bit. So yeah, ask away on the live chat and we will do our best to answer absolutely everything. We go through every single comment that comes up on the live chat.
All right, so this morning it starts with Tamo that says, very good evening. First thing I will do is to jump from 192 meters. And he's talking about the Sky Tower. So yeah, he's going to jump all the way from there. And he's referencing the poll of the day. So we have the question of the day today. Since the borders are reopening and you guys are all planning your trip, it's related to arriving in New Zealand. Let's go over it. Question of the day. Woo! Eurovision. Question of the day. Woo!
When was Eurovision?
It's right now, live,
right
now.
now.
While we are talking right now, it's the Eurovision.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So the question that we have for you guys today is, when you're going to be landing in Auckland, because the vast majority of travelers are going to be landing in Auckland, what is the first thing you're going to be doing? So will you go up the Sky Tower? Will you get out of Auckland? Will you visit Rangitoto or Waiheke Island, which are only two out of the many islands in the Hauraki Gulf, which is just off the shores of Auckland? Or will you simply explore the city? So make sure to vote around, and we will go over that around the end of this live session. But we have the great Nathan Bates from Topo already in. What is he asking?
First thing is flying. Oh, sorry, that was the wrong one. Nathan says, Kia ora, Morena. Good morning, Laura, Robin, and everyone else.
What does Morena means, Laura?
It means good morning in the Maori language, which is the indigenous language of New Zealand.
All right, so we have Christina Holden, one of our lovely Patreon as well, and she says her first thing is going to be to fly to Christchurch.
Yes.
And she also says Morena to everybody. That's it. That's good. So basically, you're getting out of Auckland. That's good.
Yeah.
We have an option for you. So that's great. And then Nathan is asking a question. Very unusual question.
Yes, Nathan says, what are some of your favourite places to visit in the South Island and what activities are best to do there? Okay, so elaborating on the question, which for you guys that don't know, Nathan asks us the same question almost every week, which is our favourite
Sometimes
place.
he forgets. So,
sometimes he forgets. That's why I said almost. But yeah, sometimes he asks us our favourite place in the South Island and we try to give him a different answer every single week. So now we need to do that and include activities we'd like to do there. So do you have an option for this week?
Yes, of course. I always do have an option. So today I'm going to be picking the Abel Tasman National Park. I do really like this national park. There is a great walk to do in there. But if you are not able to do the entire great walk, which takes multiple days, you are able to take a boat that will drop you off almost right in the center of the Abel Tasman National Park. And then you can hike around there. There is Cleopatra's Pool, which is a great place to hang out at. And also you can kayak over there and hike, and that's the activities that I will suggest doing there. What's your favorite of the week?
Mine is going to be, it's a little bit of an obscure one. It's a little bit off the beaten track, but it is Tuatapere.
Wow,
Yes.
the sausage capital of New Zealand.
Indeed, the sausage capital of
It
New
is
Zealand.
known as the sausage capital of New Zealand, so here you
So
go.
this is a town in Southland. It's really, really quite far down towards the very south of the South Island. And what it's famous for is that it is nearby the Humpridge Track, track, which is set to be one of New Zealand's next great walks, a multi-day hiking trail. So that's a really cool hiking trail that goes into the Fiordland National Park. But other things that you can do there are jet boating tours on Lake Horoko, which is quite nearby. You can also go and visit all the very nice, quaint cafes there. We do have a video on the channel of us
Yesteryear Cafe is one of them. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it is no longer around.
Oh, no.
But there are other,
Yesteryear Cafes.
other cafes you can check out.
Yesteryear Cafes no more.
Yeah, and another thing we like to do nearby is the Clifton Caves, which is a sort of self-guided caving tour that you can do where you can see glowworms, you can see really awesome limestone features, and it's a free cave to visit. So that's another really cool thing to do in the area. So yeah, that's Tuatapere. Not sure if you're going to get that quite far off the beaten track, Nathan, but that's just because I wanted to pick something that I knew I hadn't said already.
All right, so we have Extreme Talota. What's he saying?
Extreme Taluta says, Morena, Ata Mari. What does Ata Mari mean?
I actually do not know, Extreme Talauta. Would you be able to translate that for us? But yeah, good morning to you too.
Yeah, well, the reason most of our viewers actually say Morena now is thanks
that's thanks to him, yes.
Thanks to Extreme Taluta, who is teaching everybody to Rio Maori slowly but surely over the years through our live show. So yeah, if you could teach us a little more, Extreme Taluta, we will definitely be grateful. Yeah.
All right, Adil Mula says, Kia ora, Robin and Laura. How are you doing, Adil? Thank you for popping in yet another week. And we also have Rafakat Ali that says, good morning from Leeds, UK. Good morning to you too. So you're not watching the Eurovision right now? You choose to watch us? I mean, we feel flattered. We feel flattered. We have an appalling amount of viewers right now. It's really low. I think everybody is watching the Eurovision, indeed. All right, what is Adil asking?
Adil says, one of the activities mentioned in the video titled 5 Must-Dos in Napier, shown on this channel, is to get locked in Napier Prison. I would like to know what this is. What is the Napier Prison, Robin?
So we do have actually a full video of that experience on the channel. So if you just type Napier Prison and NZ Pocket Guide, you'll be able to watch the whole video. But basically, it's a prison which is no longer in use, in which you can do a bit of a tour around. It's kind of like one of those spooky tours. They don't take themselves too seriously. You can dress up if you want, take some photos. It's just kind of one of those little kind of quirky attractions, and it just took a heart just because it's just so silly, and they really do not take themselves seriously.
Yeah.
So we have a video of us actually visiting the whole thing. So it's about like a 5 or 6 minute video of literally us going through the whole tour, so you can check that out. And yes, I did get a chance to lock Laura into a jail cell, so that was nice. I enjoyed that. I wish I did not have a kind heart and I didn't open the door back afterwards.
Surely somebody would have come and saved me eventually, right? Right?
Touch wood.
Right? Okay, we have Fabio under the username Oibath1420 saying, Kia ora, guys.
Oh, should I say Kia ora, not ESC stream? Indeed. Eurovision Song Contest.
Yeah.
Here you go.
I'm so Eurovision Song Contest is so off my radar. I don't know any of the lingo, anything to do with it. Okay.
Gunmundi says, Kia ora, how are you doing, Gunmundi? Thank you for popping in. We also have Helen Wilkinson. What is Helen saying?
Helen says, good evening, Robin and Laura from England.
How are you doing, Helen? She says, I am from
Shrewsbury in Shropshire.
Is she making it up or does it really exist? Shrewsbury from Shropshire.
I've heard of Shrewsbury. I feel like I haven't heard of Shropshire though.
I feel like I think she's making it up to try to see if you can pronounce things very well.
Yeah, maybe.
Is it a pronunciation exercise like that you're doing right here? Or maybe I was very insulting and I'm sorry, Helen, but yeah.
And as you can tell, my geography knowledge of England is very poor compared to New Zealand. Despite coming from England, it's not great, but just trust you're here for my knowledge on New Zealand, right?
Clay Bryant, another one of our awesome Patreon, is here today. We also have Spider-Mech, a username I really do like.
Yes.
Spider-Mech says, well, I go straight to my room to get
some shut-eye.
What? Okay, I don't think I understand all that thing.
Well, he's going to his room to go to bed.
Oh, what? That's too early. We just it's 8 a.m. in the morning, mate. Extreme Toyota says Atai Mary means good morning as well. Oh, that's good morning, okay. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, yes.
Okay, we have Nathan Base that says, wow, so many places to visit, writing everything down on a big list of places to visit. Will you really have the time to do every single one of the one that we mentioned? I
Probably
feel like
not.
it's a lot. We have given you a lot of tips. But if you do, you may have a wall of photos like we have ours right here with a lot of awesome places that you visited. What is Christina Holden saying?
Christina says literally, and then emojis with crying laughing face.
Yes, everybody in the Patreon group is now mocking me because I say the word literally all the time.
Oh, literally.
Yes, so that's their new thing since last week. So I
What,
literally cannot say that word anymore unless I'm, to avoid mockeries.
Okay,
So yeah.
right.
All right, Helen Wilkinson says, no, she gave us already the Shrubbery of
She said
Shropshire.
Shrewsbury is in Shropshire.
Oh, this is a mockery. This is not pronounceable. No, I refuse. Please leave in something which is one or two syllables at most.
With less S's.
Less
shush.
Shrubbery in
Shrubbery. I live in some shrubbery in Shrewsbury in Shropshire.
Shropshire. Oh my god, I cannot pronounce that. Anyway, what's Fabio saying?
Fabio says, next act will be Ukraine after that 100% focus on stream.
Yeah, I don't think that there is any contest this year. I think it's just the Eurovision song. You can remove the word context because I do not think that Ukraine is not going to win. There is no shot for any other countries. To be fair, I feel sad for any other contestants in Eurovision right now. They are going to be absolutely smashed by Ukraine just because of all the geopolitical events. So yeah, I feel like everybody's going to tune out and be like, okay, voted for Ukraine, bye bye. All right, anyway, let's go back to some questions from Gudmundi.
Yes, Gudmundi says, greetings from Italy.
Ciao.
I'm planning a 4/5 weeks in New Zealand next July, August. The flights have been extremely high recently, around €2,000, equaling 3,300 New Zealand dollars. And I'm wondering if the prices might decrease in the next weeks or even get higher. What do you suggest doing? Booking right now or wait for a little? Thank you very much indeed.
You're very welcome, Gudmundi. So thank you very much for popping in. By the way, I know you did ask this question on one of our videos already, and I invited you to join here so we can debate that a little bit more and go a bit more extensively right here. So one of the reasons why flights to New Zealand right now are so expensive is just because there is a limited amount of airlines that fly to New Zealand due to the COVID-19 crisis. We had our border closed. Now it's only open to people from visitor waiver countries, etc. So basically the market is smaller, so therefore there is less airline, and also restarting an airline route between one city and the other, especially across the world, like what you're trying to do, is actually quite time consuming, and it's quite an endeavor. So it's not instant. Like, it's not because New Zealand say we're reopening a border that immediately all the airlines will be able to actually start flying to the country and start again competing on prices. So that's the reason number one why flights are so expensive. The reason number two why flights are so expensive, and you probably saw that in the news many times, but damn, gas is really expensive at the moment. And guess what's the number one expense for airlines? It's the diesel fuel, not the fuel, the
jet fuel.
Jet fuel. Here you go. I was looking for, like, it's not diesel fuel they use, but jet fuel that they're using in their planes, right? So that definitely impact a lot their bottom line, and therefore they have to pass that on to the consumer. So keeping those two facts in mind, I personally still believe that the prices are going to go a little bit lower coming down to July. And the reason why I believe that is because I'm going to take an example of a smaller countries. So the country of the Cook Islands right now just reopened their borders to travelers, coming to New Zealand and coming from New Zealand. And they're also looking at reopening their borders coming from more countries. So when they reopened their borders about, like, let's say 3-4 months ago, don't take all my dates in account, but when they reopened their border, let's say 3 months ago, flights were as high as about 1,000 New Zealand dollars, and that's what we ended up paying. Fun times. So flights were pretty expensive, right? But right now, because there is not just Air New Zealand anymore, but there is Jetstar, and also they started, the government is subventioning a little bit of the fees for airlines and all these kind of things. And the flights are down to $99, so it literally shrunk shrunk by 10 or literally within the space of like 3 months. And so obviously we're not going to see that big shift, that kind of big shift in New Zealand. I don't see that happening. I don't see like the price going down to like, you know, 330 New Zealand dollars to come to New Zealand. Please don't understand that this is what I'm saying. But I still see that because more airlines are going to be able to open and route yourself to and send people to New Zealand, they will also start competing a little bit more on prices. And most of the prices actually are not necessarily set by the airline, but they're set by really big, very expensive softwares which actually track the demand and actually kind of adjust prices as it goes. So the price policy is very much driven by data more than it is driven by I decide that my flight is going to be that price. So for this reason, I actually do believe that as we're going to see more ways to get into New Zealand, we're going to see the price dropping down. Now, I don't think they're going to go like incredibly low, you know what I mean? Like they're probably going to be down to like maybe 1,500 euros, I'd say. You know, basically I'm seeing a 25% drop at most. And I am not 100% sure when that will happen. July, August is very early. The New Zealand borders are reopening for basically all travelers at the end of July only, which therefore is going to push most airlines to actually start flying into New Zealand. Right now it's just the visa waiver country, which you're part of since you're in Italy. But yeah, so it may be the case that those flights prices will actually change probably around August. But my suspicion is that you're trying to travel during the school holiday all the way in Europe, and therefore that's going to be a little bit too late for you. And now as for the prices going more expensive, unless you are waiting like 2 weeks before your flight, and then at that point, like the last 2 weeks, the price usually skyrockets. It is gonna be hard for prices to get even more expensive. So unless like prices of gas are going absolutely through the roof, even more than they've done right now, I don't think that's gonna be the case. Anyway, that's my take on that.
Yeah, so what month do you reckon that is a good time
for him to book
if he wants to go in July or August? Like maybe
I would literally wait like the last 2 weeks of June and see what happens there. That's literally what I would do.
Yeah. Cool.
Thanks for bringing it back to the point.
Yeah.
All right, so that's my take on price of flights in New Zealand. I know it's not necessarily the thing that you want to hear. You're not going to get half price on those flights, that's for sure.
It's always been an expensive journey, especially from Europe. It's never been cheap. So yeah, that's the thing to also understand. Even though you know, obviously with world events at the moment, everything feels expensive. But for flights from Europe to New Zealand, it always has been relatively. It's always been in the thousands, that's for sure.
Yep. All right, so don't forget that we're reading every comment that comes in. So if we haven't read yours, it's just because we got stuck on the previous comment, but we will. Don't panic. Rafakat Ali, what is he asking? Or is she asking?
I am visiting New Zealand in January 2023. Do you think 2 weeks is enough to explore New Zealand?
We usually say that 2 weeks in New Zealand is the bare minimum to explore New Zealand. We usually recommend 3 weeks or more, just because a lot of people don't realize how much there is to do in New Zealand. With 2 weeks in New Zealand, if you do have the luxury to be able to actually tell yourself, maybe I'll get back to New Zealand, I will suggest only doing one of both islands. So I just do the South Island of New Zealand, for instance, in 2 weeks, and then in a few years you get back to New Zealand and do another 2 weeks on the North Island, perhaps. That may be a really good way to approach it. Or maybe if you can extend it to 3 weeks, then you'll have a really good time.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Nathan says, I think I may need to be making a photo wall like yours. With all your South Island
after your South Island trip. Yeah, definitely. Well, you wouldn't be able to have this one here, which, for example, this is Natasha, one of our lovely Patreons. So this, here is the logo. He is the frame of all our Patreon supporters, and the other ones are obviously traveling in New Zealand. All right, what is Moshin?
Mosin says, Morena, missed you all a long time.
That's been a while. We also have Sander. Morning, guys. How are you doing today? Speaking of our Patreon supporters, Sander is one of our lovely Patreon supporters. Yeah, we're doing really good. I mean, obviously, it is a tough morning. We're competing with the Eurovision, so we have very low viewership and pretty much no likes on the video. But that is okay. You know, we're not dressed as pigs singing and dancing like crazy about bananas. Apparently, I get the I get the live updates right here from Fabio. I can tell you,
Wow.
it's something.
Amazing. So, Mossing continues to say,
Yeah.
glad New Zealand borders are opening from July 2022. Robin was almost saying gibberish instead of jet fuel.
Gibberish fuel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that. It just blocked in my mind because with our Patreon subscribers, they have access to a secret Facebook group, and in there, a lot of them ask us questions. And this week we've talked a lot about the price of fuel, and in fact I went around and took photos of some of the prices of fuel around the central North Island just to show them what we're currently paying. And so we've been talking about unlead, 91, diesel and everything, and we talked about all the type of fuel, and obviously we didn't talk about jet fuel because that's not often that I fill up my gas with my car gas tank with jet fuel. So yeah, the word completely escaped my mind because I talked about fuel way too much this week.
Yes.
I hope I'm gonna have a gasoline free week coming up, so like that I can be I can recover.
Well, we have topped up our car, so literally we shouldn't have to go and get
Sorry,
any
did you
gas.
just use the word literally? That is not acceptable on this live session.
Literally, I use it in the perfect context
That's
when
true,
you
that's true,
literally mean something. Okay, we have Lauren, who I assume is Kiwi Lauren.
Yeah, that's Kiwi Lauren, yeah.
Saying, hi team, happy Saturday afternoon from Canada.
Canada, how are you doing, Lauren? What are you filling up your Saturday afternoon with? What are you and Reeds doing? Okay, Share the Adventure has a cool question.
That's a cool username.
Oh, yeah. It's a
perhaps.
cool. Okay, first up, Share the Adventure. You, my friend, have what I call the best username. Best username. Yes, every week I give one award to some people that have a fun username, and I think that today, Share the Adventure, because yes, everybody should share their adventure.
Yes, they should.
Yeah, you have the best username of the week. Congratulations to you. This prize comes with absolutely nothing else.
Yeah.
Just the price.
All right, so Share the Adventure says, wife and I are headed to Auckland for our anniversary at the end of the month for a long weekend.
Oh, nice.
Favourite places you'd visit if you had 3 days?
Okay, if you have 3 days, so should we pick some each? So for sure.
I know that you're going to get in there first.
Oh, go for it. It's fine.
All right, if it is your first time visiting Auckland, I fully recommend taking one of the ferries from the downtown ferry terminal and going to Rangitoto Island, which is a volcanic island just off the shore of Auckland. It's quite a short ferry ride, maybe about half an hour each way. And once you get there, there's some really awesome easy walks going up to the summit of the volcano, where you can see the crater, you can see views of the Auckland skyline, and also, do a little bit of scrambling through some lava caves if you feel like doing something a little bit more adventurous. But visiting that island is definitely one of the highlights of Auckland for me.
That's a really cool, adventurous way to fill up one day. If you're not that adventurous and still want to experience the Hauraki Gulf, I would recommend going to Wahiki Island. Wahiki Island also is just a short ferry ride away from Auckland CBD, and in there you are able to hop on a bus basically and go around all the different vineyards and taste a lot of different wine. I'm sure the wife would really appreciate that. You can also make it a little bit more peaceful and literally just go to one vineyard and enjoy a nice restaurant meal with vineyard views as well as the Hauraki Gulf views. So yeah, that's another way to experience the islands. Do you have something else, Lola?
If you want to spend more time actually in the city centre, exploring some of the highlights there, then you can do a little bit of a walking tour around. For instance, going through the Auckland Domain, where you'll find the Auckland Museum, which is really quite a large museum with lots of different displays and exhibitions to check out, to do with the Maori culture, to do with European settlement, flora and fauna of New Zealand, World War II memorial type things. So yeah, there's lots to see in the museum. The Auckland Domain itself has some really beautiful bushwalks, considering it's right in the city centre, which is pretty impressive. And there's also the Auckland Art Gallery in the city centre as well. Lots of really lovely cafes, particularly down High Street, if you want to check out High Street, just running parallel to Queen Street. And of course, there's lots of shopping opportunities as well, if that's your kind of thing. Going up the Sky Tower, also in the city centre, getting some awesome views of Auckland City and the Auckland Harbour. And we do have an article on nzpocketguide.com, which is a self-guided walking tour around Auckland. So go check that out.
If you are into wildlife, I will actually recommend something else as well. There's two things that I recommend for wildlife lover if you're going to Auckland. First up, it's hopping on a ferry yet again and going to Tiri Matangi Island, which is a bird sanctuary with heaps of local native bird. It's super easy and it's much, I personally feel it's less adventurous than Rangitoto Island as well because the tracks are much wider. It's a just mellow walk amongst absolutely fantastic nature. Another way to experience the New Zealand wildlife when heading to Auckland is to head to Auckland Whale and Dolphin Safaris. They are running tours around the Hauraki Gulf in which you're going to see a lot of dolphins and maybe even some whales. We do have videos of us doing pretty much all the activities we mentioned right now, but especially watch our video of us doing the whale and dolphin safari because we get to even see some bright whales, which is really awesome as well. Finally, the last thing that I would like to mention, something cool to do in Auckland. If you feel like an evening stroll at sunset, head to Mount Eden. You're gonna have a beautiful view of the skyline, and yeah, it's really just a nice little stroll. Wait, I think that Share the Adventure has like a nice 3-month plan in Auckland for them right now, right?
Yeah, 3 months is what you wanted, right? Not 3 days.
Yeah, that's what you ask, right?
Yeah, hopefully that is enough stuff. Like, you can pick and choose the stuff that sounds obviously most appealing to you. But of course, we do have tons of content on nzpocketguide.com relating to things to do in Auckland. So just check out the Auckland section of nzpocketguide.com, and all the stuff we mentioned is in written form. We also have videos on the channel of everything that we have mentioned also.
All right, so we have Natasha that heard the name and she says bonjour.
Bonjour.
We have Gumundi that says, that was so kind of you, very clear. Thanks a lot. You're very welcome, mate. If you find this video useful, make sure to hit the like button. It's a great free way to support all our hard work. And you can also join us on Patreon if you want to plan your trip with us, but I'll go over that a little bit later, so stick around. B+N is here.
B+N says, Morena, long time no see.
Yeah, that's been quite a few. How is it going for you? Is it going all right? Okay, Adil, what is Adil saying?
Adil says, thank you very much. Have not seen the prison video. We'll watch it immediately after this show. That is a good time to watch.
Make sure you comment on it and you tell me what you think about that activity. I want to know, Adil. Yeah. I want to see a comment from you. We're going to finish that video around 9 o'clock. So about like 9:15, I want to see a comment from you telling me what you think about the activity. I'm really keen to hear from you.
Not Adil. Yeah, Adil says...
Sorry. Share the Adventure is really happy with the award. So here you go. I've given my award of the day today. Sorted. What is Nathan saying?
Nathan says, where is the best place to fly from down to the South Island? Just your opinion.
To fly from down in the South Island. To fly from out?
From down, where's the best place to fly from down to the South Island?
Okay, so
from the North Island
leave from Auckland, it's going to be the cheapest.
Yeah, Auckland will be the cheapest.
Auckland's going to be the cheapest.
Otherwise, Wellington, they do fairly reasonable price of flights between Wellington and Nelson.
Yep.
So if you wanted to start your South Island trip from Nelson, from the top of the South Island, that is also another option. But yeah, generally, Auckland has the best deals.
Okay, Extreme Talauta says, I didn't know I was a Te Reo Maori teacher. Yes, you are. You are now. Here you go. You're teaching all of our friends.
What is teacher in Te Reo Maori, Robin?
Kayako.
Yeah.
Kayako. Here you go.
I assume we're pronouncing it absolutely correctly. And
okay, so Fabio is keeping us appraised about the Eurovision Song Contest and say, guys, you missed a lamp, 2 strips, rock guys, and a very funny comment from our Austrian commentator. Okay, weird.
Wow,
Again,
okay.
Always delivering this Eurovision Song Contest.
Yes.
Benoit is here and he says, can we enter New Zealand without a vaccine pass soon or later? So you don't have to have a vaccine pass. You have to acquire that in New Zealand, but
probably means the traveller pass.
So
the traveller declaration.
Oh, the traveller. No, okay. So let's just make a couple of things really clear. You cannot enter New Zealand if you're not vaccinated. It's not accepted yet, unless you're a New Zealand citizen. If you are a New Zealand citizen, then you can enter New Zealand if you're not vaccinated. If you are, a true tourist, you cannot enter New Zealand if you're not vaccinated as of right now. Now, if you're talking about the New Zealand the traveler declaration form and all the other things that I covered extensively in videos in the last month, at this stage, you still have to do all this paperwork. That has not changed. There is no announcement of when that will change, so I don't know when that will actually
Be
happen.
gone.
Yeah, I don't know when that will be gone just yet. But yeah. Get vaccinated, and the paperwork's not too much. I cover everything on video, so you should be good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Share the Adventure says, so many options. Thank you.
You're very welcome. We're here to help. Feel free to hit the like button. Join us on Patreon. We have even more options. We help you plan your trip and all that. It's a lot of fun. It costs like $5 a month. It's nothing. Fabio says, my question of the day. Can you say something about the electric stations in New Zealand for electric car? Is there a good network? Are there a lot of stations? Is it possible to go around with an electric car? It's actually getting much, much better. We at the beginning, like let's say about 3, 4, 5 years ago, we were just kind of like noticing some electric car station, like a charging station.
Signs cropping up saying like charging station in the next kilometer and stuff like that.
So we used to like notice them, be like, oh my gosh, there is one here. That was kind of really a novelty. Now we kind of see them in many, many places. So last time we went to the town of Taupo, for example, there is that I can think of at least 4 charging stations, like 4 different charging stations in different spots. I actually do think that it is a valid option traveling around New Zealand with an electric car for sure.
Yeah.
And there are some car rental company which actually are renting electric cars now.
Yes. And also, if you want to check out, we do have an article, a guide on nzpocketguide.com. I know I'm always talking about the website, but we do have a full guide on traveling with an EV around New Zealand, and it does link you to a couple of apps which are really handy to use, showing you where the next charging stations are. If you're a little bit apprehensive or want to really know when the next charging stations are.
Well, you do have to plan a little bit more, because you do have to make sure you have a charging station.
Exactly. And there are also some there's the occasional motel and stuff around the country now that also have charging stations at their accommodation. So check out that article about traveling by EV in New Zealand, and that will give you not only the car rental companies that rent out EVs, but also a little bit more about the charging stations and what infrastructure is available.
I just realized that she was hinting at me to actually show that. So here you go. Laura, talk about that article.
Oh, yeah. So, okay, the article, which is the guide to EVs. Yeah. It is, again, as I say, there's a list of the car rental companies as well as campervan rental companies as well, because there is 1 or 2 campervan rental companies now with EV campervans. There's a list of that on that article, as well as a couple of links for the apps that you can use. There's even a handy little audio video to go along with that, because if you prefer to listen to the article, we do have that option there as well. Everything you need to know about traveling with an electric vehicle in New Zealand is on that article.
People are saying it's just back from Fiji, and we're looking forward to seeing some of those videos, hopefully.
Yeah.
And we have Sander de Vries has a bunch of questions. Go for it.
What would you recommend? Rent a car or buy a car for 5 to 6k New Zealand dollars and travel for about 6 weeks and then find a job for a couple of months? I've travelled with Stray in 2018 and I really liked the hop-on hop-off buses, but unfortunately they don't run those buses anymore.
Yeah, so they have switched to doing mostly like classic kind of just bus tours. They may switch back to doing those hop-on hop-off buses, but yeah, at this stage not really. So as long as you are willing to understand that you will probably lose like half a week to a week to actually buy a car, like search for the car, do the paperwork, and get the car that you like when you arrive in New Zealand, and about 2 weeks to sell your car at the end. As long as you are okay with this time expense in your trip, meaning that you will have to lock yourself either in Auckland or in a larger city to do all these kind of things. As long as you're okay with losing this amount of time, it's definitely much more economical, and it gives you much more freedom to have your own car. So as long as you keep those in mind, I think that it's a really good option. And also, if you already experienced New Zealand with a company like Stray, like doing the hop-on hop-off bus and the party bus stuff, you may as well do something different this time around, right? Don't repeat the same thing over and over again. Try something different. So that's what I would personally recommend. But it's kind of really up to you. And I'm happy to compare those things even during the Patreon live session if you want us to literally like go down and write down prices and everything and do the math. I'm happy to do that, but the math out there. It's cheaper for you to have your own car and sell it back. Also understand that you lose a little bit of money when selling your car back.
I was just going to say, maybe to mitigate the time lost for buying a car and reselling it, there are options of buyback schemes with some rental companies in New Zealand. We do have information on this on nzpocketguide.com. Just trying to remember where it would be, but I think it's in 10 tips for buying a second-hand car in New Zealand. I think one of the tips on there is telling you a little bit more about the buyback schemes that you can find. So some car rental companies with some of their older vehicles, but still probably, still in pretty good condition because they are regularly maintained, being from a car rental company, gives you the option to just buy the car straight away, and they basically guarantee that at the end of your trip they will buy that back from you. So yeah, that is another option to look into. Maybe just have a bit of research on buyback schemes for car rental companies and for campervan rental companies as another option. We do have some of that information on nzpocketguide.com. If you want to search buyback on nzpocketguide.com, you can find some information there too.
All right, Baby Burns, sup guys? I need recommended 4x4 car rental that are off-road ready.
Ooh, that's going to be a tough one because there are very stringent rules about going off-road with most car rental companies in New Zealand because the insurance for that is very expensive.
Through the roof!
So yeah, that is quite tough to find, and I don't think I have any that come to mind.
No, not from the top of my head, Baby Burns. Leave it with us, and we'll do some research for next week. I'll write it down while Laura reads what Robert Laliberte has to say.
Okay, Robert Laliberte says, in your video, How to Drive in New Zealand, you state that there are a lot of twists and turns. You hear about journeys taking longer than you thought because of the winding roads. My question is why, from what I can tell, outside the bigger cities, there is nothing but smaller towns to drive to. Do Kiwis have the fear of straight roads to remote areas? It's almost like we have to place here and another one over there, and then there's one on the other side.
No, it's simply due to the geographic landscape of New Zealand. There's a lot of mountains and hills and everything, so you can, sometimes it's just easier to go around than trying to go on top or dig a tunnel. And roads in New Zealand are done on the cheap, so usually they will go with the cheapest option, no matter if that band is way too bandy and if it's not that useful. Like the road infrastructure that you are used to in North America where you are, or that most of our viewers, which are currently in Europe at the moment, the road infrastructure, like the high quality road infrastructure, are well above and beyond where you are than what you will find in New Zealand. Like in New Zealand, we just cover pothole with just a little bit of bitumen and just come and do it again 3 months later. It's kind of a business model on some of the companies in New Zealand that are working on the roads. It's kind of like, if I'm not doing a really good job, they pay me to redo the job in 6 months. So it's kind of worked well for me.
And there are companies that have a monopoly on
certain regions.
Yes.
So it's kind of like you actually, was it yesterday that you saw a picture of like a beautiful road and you were like, why don't we have roads like that in New Zealand?
Yeah, it was was it meant to be in France or something?
Yeah, that was in France, Austria. We saw some roads and it was like, wow,
going through some crazy terrain, but still like perfect. And it's like, oh, the roads aren't like that in New Zealand. That's for sure. You got to be aware of it. That's just it. Yeah.
By the way, YouTube is telling me to tell you guys to hit the like button. So if you want to hit the like button, that'd be lovely. That will appease the YouTube robots. Extreme Talota says that he has to leave to a referee meeting because he does referee rugby union usually, and it's in 20 minutes. So I probably took 20 minutes to read that message, so he's probably already gone. But bye bye.
See ya.
But the good thing is Fabio said bye to him for us, so I appreciate that.
Adil says we'll watch it and let you know next week on the next show, Robin.
Here you go. All right, Adam Nixon. Any relation with the president of the United States? That's You know, any relation? Are you grandson or something?
Definitely,
Anyway.
if he says, hello, I moved to Wellington from the UK.
Of course he is, obviously.
Shortly, very excited. However, struggling to find the best bank for an expat who wants to transfer money from NZ back to Great Britain account. Do you recommend Wise?
Yes, we do have an article actually on NZ Pocket Guide, which actually talk about the best way to transfer money from overseas to New Zealand. So we have a full article on that on the website. You just type money transfer on NZ Pocket Guide. I will actually put my face on there as I speak and do it as well. And so so definitely that would be a really easy way to deal with that, because actually the fees are much lower at that point, because every bank otherwise is going to charge you quite a lot of money. So we use that even for our business. We actually do use Wise, which used to be called TransferWise and everything like that. So if you go on there, we actually talk about all the different kind of ways to transfer money right here. And New Zealand Bank are notorious to charging really, really high fee and for hiding them pretty well. So sometimes they say there is no fee for this, so there is no fee for that, but the rate that you get is absolutely appalling. So
Yes.
just be aware of that. Now, when it comes down to the best banks, there is not really like one bank like better than any other. Like a lot of them are really like big corporation. Westpac, for example, is an Australian bank. So be aware of that. Kiwi Bank is a New Zealand-based bank, but it's not a cooperative bank. There is a bank called the Cooperative Bank, which means that you as a customer also own part of the bank as well, which means that you get a share of their profit at the end of the year. So it's a couple of $100 here and there, which is always quite good. And I do find that they have better customer service. So that's the one that we're currently using for one of our accounts. What do we have else in New Zealand? We have BNZ, but they're pretty rubbish from
ANZ?
ANZ is Australian as well. I've basically ASB as well. I basically banked with pretty much every bank, because every single time their service is so rubbish, I'm like, fine, I can leave. Like, it's not hard to change bank. So I would recommend, yes, do your transfer with TransferWise, and if you have to pick one bank, and if I have to help you, with Wise, TransferWise, same company.
Yeah.
And if you have to pick a bank, I will say the Cooperative Bank, because like that you get some cash back, you get some money at the end of the year, and who doesn't like a few $100s at the end of the year?
Clay says, Robert, the answer is that the terrain is mostly hills and mountains. Straight would mean tunnels or moving earth. There is a lot of straight roads, just not much.
There you go.
Pretty much. Same
What I
sort of
said.
things we were talking
What I
about.
say, except that I did extra dishing of Higgins and Downers, but I would not mention this company by name, so it's easier.
Okay, Charlie says, hey guys, have you been on holiday in the Kapiti Coast?
Hey Charlie, we have not been on a holiday like recently in the Kapiti Coast, but we have, yes. I don't know what the question is like. Did I see you last weekend in the Kapiti Coast?
Yeah. I mean,
No,
not
no.
recently, but
Yeah, we have.
There
There is some videos of us checking out Kapiti Islands, the Queen Elizabeth Park, Foxton Beach, all those kind of things. So we definitely did check out the Kapiti Coast quite extensively. Natasha Rodriguez, another one of our amazing Patreon.
One thing about EV charging stations is you want to make sure that you're locating level 3 chargers that will charge your car within an hour. Anything less will take half a day or longer.
Yeah, that's true. Well, most of the public charging station in New Zealand are actually the fast charging stations. In Topo, they have like those Tesla like supercharged charger. I can't remember the name of it, but
Yeah.
Spider-Meg
says, well, we don't have flu since the lockdown. Our border open to the outside world. Is this mean that they come with bags full of flu?
Well, listen, I think that, we are starting winter right here in New Zealand, no matter what. Even if we didn't open the border to international travelers, I genuinely believe that Kiwis coming back will have brought the flu anyway.
Yes.
So also saying we don't have flu is a bit of an overstatement. I did catch a flu last year and the borders were closed. So, challenge accepted. I can catch a bug if needed. I'm pretty good at that. It's one of my skills on my CV.
Wow.
Extracurricular activities, catching viruses very easily. Sander, what is asking?
Sander says, I'm planning to go for the full year, so it would be no problem. The only thing is that I'm slightly worried about is how reliable a car would be for 5 to 6K.
Yeah, so definitely that's something that you need to be worried about, and that's why we have so much content on the NZ Pocket Guide about car buying and how many, like, so many tips and everything like that. Another good way to kind of mitigate that is to get that from get your car from a professional dealer. It may cost you a little bit extra, but they usually give you at least a 3-month mechanical warranty or all these kind of things, and so that will give you a little bit more safety in that way. So yeah, I mean, the car that we use, I know it's more than your budget, but the car that we use every single day is a $10,000 car. It still has a value, at least on the book, of $8,000, and we've been using it for over a year. And we have had no issue with it, but it was a first import, so that means that we've had the first owners here in New Zealand about that car, and we bought it from a dealership, it was a used car dealership. So we have the warranty of at least 6 months. I think that was 6 months. So yeah, here you go. But yeah, no, that's definitely going to be the risk, and there is no other way than doing new research and doing a very, very, very thorough inspection to mitigate that risk.
Yeah.
But the fact that you're coming for a year though is really good. So that means that the time constraint is null for you, and you definitely should get yourself a car so like that you have complete freedom around the country, and we're really going to love it.
We have Good Mundi saying, here's my plan. Landing in Christchurch, renting a camper van with Juicy and travelling through the South Island, then ferry, North Island. Hope sleeping in the van won't be too cold in July/August.
Interesting that you chose Juicy as well. I mean, they definitely are not the cheapest for what they offer at the moment. They
are one of the cheapest.
Yeah,
yes.
but there is better deal around for campers. Maybe you want to check our campervan articles, if I may suggest.
Yes.
Go on NZ Pocket Guide, check our recommendations and everything. Now, would it be cold in a campervan in July, August?
Yes, it will be cold.
Yes.
It will be cold in July and August because, as you're probably aware, that is kind of the middle of winter in New Zealand. To mitigate the cold, ways of doing that is to stay in powered sites. Juicy do offer electric heaters for if you're staying in a powered site, you can use those electric heaters. If you're not staying in a powered site, then you wouldn't really be able to use that, so you'd have to make sure that you wrap up extra warm.
Yeah.
Some campervan rental companies, don't really think Juicy does this, but for instance, Travellers Autobahn, they offer a free winter pack, so they give people extra sleeping bags on top of the sleeping bags you already get. They also give you water bottles, and I think a heater is also included if you are going into the powered sites as well. So there are some campervan rental companies that will give you those little extras for helping you keep warm. And because we know this is quite a common thing in New Zealand of having cold nights, we do have an article on nzpocketguide.com, which is how to stay warm while camping in New Zealand, which a lot of those tips do apply to staying in camper vans as well. So go check out that article for a few extra tips and ways that you can prepare for those cold nights, because there's no use in hoping that it won't be cold. It probably will, and you will need to make sure that you are nice and cozy.
Helen Wilkinson says, I watched your video of a Skywalk in Auckland. I am considering doing this when I come in September.
It's a pretty fun thing to do. Yeah, I think that's Rob.
You saw me doing the sky shuffle, right? So if you're fine with height, you'll be good. And to be fair, I did not enjoy it. I did enjoy it. I was just really scared, but I did enjoy it.
I think it's definitely one of the more. It's quite a unique thing to do in New Zealand. You can't do that anywhere else in New Zealand. Obviously, there's only one Sky Tower. There's only one building in New Zealand that is that crazy high. And I definitely recommend doing the Skywalk over doing the Sky Jump, just because obviously the main highlight of that activity is seeing the city from that high and not having that barrier of the windows in front of you. That's kind of the scary aspect of it. But compared to the Sky Jump is over so quickly that definitely the Skywalk makes the most of that activity.
Robert Laliberte says, thank you, you explained it well regarding the roads. B+N said, we use Wise too. So here you go for you, Adam. I think that was for Adam. And he said, B+N continues saying that hopefully the New Zealand dollar gets better and doesn't keep going down in value. I know it's not really good for us that the New Zealand dollar is so low in value right now, but it's really good for anyone planning a trip to New Zealand or planning to come to New Zealand and come do a working holiday visa or something like that. Now, by the way, guys, if you want to go on like the platforms such as TransferWise and everything like that, and get your money into New Zealand dollars right now, you'll get a really good deal, and you get much more bang for your bucks than you will get usually. Because yes, the New Zealand dollars is not doing very well. But yeah, I am not a financial advisor, by the way. You do your own research, but just apparently legally you have to say that every time you talk about finances nowadays. Anyway, Adam Nixon.
Unfortunately, no relation.
So he's not the grandson of Richard Nixon.
No.
Well, Adam, that's boring. Can you just lie to me? I mean, at that point, it's the internet. I have no way to do my research, so you should lie to me.
He
But
says,
I appreciate
"Thanks
your
for the
honesty.
help."
I appreciate your honesty.
We have a European song, Eurovision, whatever the hell it's called.
Okay, Eurovision
Song
update.
Contest update.
By Fabio says 3 sisters, one a cowboy, one a mixture of 18th century and short skirt, and the third one a tomato. Of course, that's what's on your screen. Obviously, why are you watching this?
Yeah.
Guys, hit the like button if we are doing better than the Eurovision Song Contest. Henry Emeka is back. Hey, Henry, that's been a while. He says, so New Zealand is opening their borders on the 31st of July. Yes, indeed. Let's go. Laura, just want to give the exact news so like that we're actually not misinforming people?
Okay,
All right.
Let's go with the updates. Again, taken from the COVID website, the covid19.govt.nz website. So official information.
Border opening
right here.
update. Da-da-da.
New Zealand's borders are reopening to all tourist and visa holders from 11:59 p.m. on the 31st of July 2022. Vaccinated travellers arriving under the accredited employer work visa category can apply to enter New Zealand from the 4th of July 2022. All other visa categories, including those on a visitor and student visas, can apply to enter New Zealand from anywhere in the world from the 31st of July 2022. Cruise ships can enter New Zealand from the 31st of July with the opening of the maritime border. But travellers will still need to meet all health requirements to enter New Zealand, including vaccination requirements and proof of a negative pre-departure test. But Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, has said that the pre-departure testing would be removed. But it's not official yet. It's not been published. She just hinted at it.
Here you go. That's the exact official news for you, Henry. Clay says, really, BNZ, talking about the banks, served us great. Maybe the grass is greener on the other side. Well, my experience with BNZ is that they really stuffed my transfer from National Bank to BNZ when they actually bought it quite a few years back. And every single time I was on the phone, I had to wait at least an hour. And for me, a company that makes me wait basically pass on straight up cost onto me. Let's say you are paying, even minimum wage, right? If you have to wait an hour on hold, you literally are paying them $20 because they decide not to actually hire an extra person for their call center and pass on that cost to you, and you are okay to waste an hour on the phone waiting for them to actually solve a problem. So for this reason, if a company make me wait too long on the phone, they lost my business, because you shouldn't pass on your cost straight up to customers in such a manner. That's it. That's my personal opinion. Obviously, I'm opinionated because, it comes with my childhood background of coming from Europe. But, it's all good.
All right, so
Henry and Mika say, I'm confused right now.
Yeah, says, I'm confused right now because I applied for a Canadian visa, which I'm expecting this month. Honestly, I was already tired of waiting for the New Zealand to open its borders. What am I going to do?
2 holidays, one in Canada, one in New Zealand. Why not? That's a good holiday right here.
But I mean, if you were planning on perhaps doing a working holiday visa or visa where you were staying long term, then obviously I can see your dilemma. Obviously, I would go for the country that you most wanted to go to, providing that your Canadian visa wasn't crazy expensive. Obviously, we're not experts in visas for Canada, so I'm not quite sure what the prices would be for that. But New Zealand, for instance, working holiday visas are usually around 200 New Zealand dollars. So, yeah, just go with the heart.
Go with the heart.
But yeah.
All right, B+N is answering to Sanders regarding the car purchase, and they have an input to say, we bought our first car in New Zealand for 1,200 New Zealand dollars, and it lasted 1.5 years. Our current car cost 4,500 New Zealand dollars. So, yeah, here you go. How long have you had your 4,500 New Zealand dollar car for? Tell us. So we had multiple cars. Like, for example, the car that we had before, which is the one that you see around the end of New Zealand's biggest gap here, lasted us for about 4.5 years, and we bought it for like $10,000, and then it broke down. The engine literally broke down, so we had to sell it for like $800 for parts, which was very, very sad. But it did last us for quite a while, which was good.
Not to mention our motorhome, which we had for
I don't talk about that.
6 months.
No,
and
I don't talk about it. I don't talk about it no more. I have completely blocked it out from my head.
So yeah, in conclusion, guys, make sure that you do some very, some very stringent sort of looking over your car before purchasing it.
Car inspection.
Don't cheap out too much, and actually know what, if you're lucky enough to cheap out on a car, make sure that you do know what you're looking for.
Okay, Kiwi Lauren, or Lauren Lownace says, would a 37 years old be out of place on a stray bus? I remember a Kiwi Experience bus being pretty young crowd, asking for a friend. Yeah, right. I can't remember if I asked that already. Yeah, you did ask that already, and honestly, you'll be fine, except that Stray doesn't do the hop and hop off anymore, right? They just do normal kind of bus tours, so you may be able to find actually different brands which will match better your age range if you feel like trying something different. But no, when I've traveled on Stray before, I've seen some people even in their 50s and they're having a blast, absolutely. So I wouldn't think that you are out of I wouldn't think that you are out of place with that. And Sander is also agreeing with me, saying that when he traveled with Stray, there was a woman in her 60s and also a few people in the 35 to 45 years range.
Yeah. I was just going to say that there, like everyone is saying, there is always that sort of person in the higher age range, but it is usually like one or two people out of the whole group. So it's kind of like if you're expecting to be with lots of other people that are like, 30 to 40-year-olds and stuff, that's not the case. The majority of people are going to be like in their 20s or even, 18 to 30-year-old range. But yeah, so if you're out of place, you'll certainly be one of these sort of odd ones out, but I mean, if you're young at heart, you still get on well with everyone. Usually, the people that do go on these
scratch it on your passport. Just change your birth date on your passport and say, "No, in my heart, I was born in the 2000s."
Yeah, I mean, if you get on well with younger people and you're open-minded and that sort of thing, then you probably will still have a blast.
Clay is asking, is that you, Kiwi Lauren? Yes, it is Kiwi Lauren. She just changed her name. I don't know why, but, she decided to remove the incognito mask and be like, aha, it was me all along. Okay.
Clay says, in my youth, I was buying $500 bangers that lasted 5 to 6K. You'll be sweet if you are smart about cars.
I'm going to translate that for you. So a $500 bangers is basically a completely run-down cars that are going to probably last 5 to 6,000 kilometers until dying. So... yeah, don't follow that tip.
Advice.
Next tip. Spider-Max says, expensive, catch a bus, train or walk. Those also are good options if you want to save money on transportation, yes.
Yeah, bus, I mean, the buses are usually the...
I'm not sure the reference is, so yeah.
Was there something about...
I don't know.
Anyway.
Moving on. More context, please. Clay says, in the same breath, there is a reason why I buy a brand new now. Okay, so that's because you don't like them to break here. Yeah, we can't afford brand new cars at the moment. Okay, so Sander was discussing with Clay, with B plus N and Clay and Lauren about the car. I love that everybody's coming down together right here. He's talking about with Kiwi Lauren about the buses. I love that too. Nathan says, do you know when Pacific Islands Pocket Guides will be available? Tonga Pocket Guide is available, Niue Pocket Guide is available, and Fiji Pocket Guide is currently available. When it comes down to our next one, it's probably going to be around the end of June. So yeah, not that far from now. Give it about 6-7 weeks, and here you go.
Yeah.
We're just gonna hang out 6-7 times, and then bam, it's already time flies. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, but hey, check out our other South Pacific Pocket Guides. Like Robin says, Niue, the borders for Niue are going to be opening by the end of the year. Tonga's borders are going to be opening by the end of the year. Fiji's borders are already open. So there's some options for your sort of South Pacific travel already available.
Okay, Clay is talking about my rant about the banks, my French rant about the banks. He says, that's a very fair point. They aren't much like that anymore, but that does make me think. I'll apply that logic to a couple of other companies I'm with for sure. Yeah, I mean, honestly, every single time you're on the phone or you're on hold, for 1 hour, count what's your hourly rate. That's the amount of money that this company charged you to try to reach out to them. So yeah, I do that
It's not
every
on,
time.
is it?
I know.
It's not on.
It's not on. It's not on. I'm from England. It's not on. All right, lass. What's the next comment?
That was almost the best impression you've ever done.
I know, I'm pretty pleased. That's so rare.
Yeah. So yeah, Clay was talking to Kiwi Lauren, and then we have Fabio giving us a Eurovision Song Contest.
Eurovision Song Contest. Australia, not Austria, of course. Australia in Eurovision. Euro,
yep.
Of course, yep. A guy looking like a swan with a crown and a chandelier in his face. Obviously.
In his face, not on his face. It's in it. Wow.
By the way, guys, this live session is almost over. Make sure you have like 1 more minute to vote for the poll of the day. What is the first thing you're going to be doing when arriving in Auckland? Yeah, make sure you vote now. There is only a few comments, then pish pash posh, we're sorting, and then we're heading to Patreon. Speaking of Patreon, we do have a new Patreon subscriber to celebrate. His name is Mark, and he just joined us this week. It's pretty awesome. That brings our number of Patreon subscribers to 14. Those are people that chose to financially support us and help us keep on making all those videos for free for everybody and maintain NZ Pocket Guide, Tonga Pocket Guide, Fiji Pocket Guide, Niue Pocket Guide, and all those websites. As a reward for supporting us, for the price of a cup of coffee a month, we give you a ton of extra perks, such as an extra 1 hour live session. That's right, this live session continues for 1 extra hour, literally just after this one, where we hang out with just our Patreon. There is also access to an awesome secret Facebook group where we post pretty much every single day. We hang out together. We all talk about a lot of different stuff about New Zealand. We give you some PDF guides that will help you discover hidden gems of New Zealand or know where to do some of the most popular activities in New Zealand. And we also help you plan your trip to New Zealand, literally adding our notes to your itinerary, plus many more other perks. So if you want to consider joining us on Patreon, we absolutely would love you to do so, and we'd love to have you on board. There is a link to our Patreon page just right below. Check it out. There may be some perks that you may be interested in. And yeah, there's no commitment, by the way. You can just stay with us for 1 month, and it's absolutely fine. You don't have to stay for longer, and you won't be charged until the first of the month. So if you join right now, you get 2 weeks for free. So that's pretty awesome.
Wow.
All right. Back to the live chat. Where are we at?
We have Lauren saying, my name changed on Google because I was so annoyed with my emails being signed as Kiwi Lauren. And you pronounced it well. Sounds like the opposite of highness.
Hello, nice.
Yeah.
That is a funny way to say it. I love it. Clay missed a full stop in his sentence. Nathan says, got to go. See you next week for a fun and funny live stream. Yeah, see you next week, mate. Thank you. Clay says, bang out of order, in it. Also
said in a British accent.
Bang out of order, in it. Okay, what is Merck saying?
Mert is saying, I'm planning to start working straight away when I arrive in New Zealand. Is 4,000 New Zealand dollars enough to start my working holiday visa adventure? Thank you.
You won't be able to start working straight away, Mert, because you do need to set up a bank account. You need to get yourself an IRD number. You need to do a certain amount of paperwork in order to get that done, and that takes at least a couple of weeks to get all that done.
And you need to find a job.
And also you need to find a job. So yeah, you won't be able to get started straight away. 4,000 New Zealand dollars. I think the minimum is 4,400 actually New Zealand dollars. So you're already below the threshold.
In terms of the conditions of your working holiday visa, there is a condition on there stating the minimum of amount of money that you should have for coming on a working holiday visa. So just double check that on your working holiday visa or on the immigration website, Immigration New Zealand website, and that will tell you the minimum amount of money that they ask people to bring when they come to New Zealand. And as Robin says, it is usually around 4,400 New Zealand dollars.
And the bare minimum that we recommend, and we get hundreds and hundreds of feedback, and we've been doing that for years, and I've been even in the working holiday realm for like a long time. The bare minimum, literally stringing by a thread, is $5,000 5,500 New Zealand dollars, and that was even before the prices got really high up. So yeah, I personally, if you ask my questions right now, 4,000 New Zealand dollars enough? Absolutely not. You do need to have, in our opinion, 5,500 New Zealand dollars minimum, plus your return flight and all the insurances and stuff that you need to have with your visa. So that is in cash in your pocket, 5,500 New Zealand dollars at the bare minimum.
Not literally in cash in your pocket.
You say the word literally.
As I said, not literally.
You can't say literally. All right. Christina says, I'm here until the end. Missing Anthony today. Oh, yeah, that's true.
Anthony, where is Anthony?
Where is Anthony? Oh, my God. This is why we're doing 5 extra minutes. Okay.
Oh, my gosh.
Fabio says, last Eurovision context update. Yes, UK. Yay. Laura! A cool guy famous on TikTok and is now the hope of UK.
The hope.
And the song is the best UK song in the last 20 years, I think. And voting will start in about 10 minutes. If you bet €1 on Germany and they will win, you will make 510 euros. Yeah, well, obviously all the brokers are just giving you crazy odds because they want you to waste your money since Ukraine is guaranteed to win. Natasha said, gotta go. I won't be at the Patreon session today, but I'll watch it later. Bye. Oh, there's a fun game, Natasha. You're gonna be in the game. No. All right, guys. We are going to wrap this one up. As mentioned by Natasha, we are going to start our live session for the Patreon right now. So if you want to join us on Patreon, go, click. Right now it's free because, you're not charged at the beginning of the month. In the meantime, we wish you a wonderful week. We'll be back here at exactly the same time next week. And we do have some videos throughout the week as well coming up. I can't remember what there is.
But wait, what about the poll?
Oh, wow, I forgot about the poll. Let me end the poll.
So, the question of the day was, what would you do? What is the first thing you'll do when landing in Auckland?
Number 1 answer, and by 42% of people, will be explore the city. Number 2 will be 24% of people going up the Sky Tower. Number 3 will be get out of Auckland, 18%. And number 4 at 15% visit Rangitoto or Waiheke Island, 33 vote. That was fun. But the truth of what's going to happen, the first thing you're going to be doing when landing in Auckland is going to be stuck in the traffic between the airport and Auckland City. Have fun. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
On that note, goodbye.